Huh. It's so jumbled up, it's really difficult for me to make out like the full sentences of what you're saying.
Is it a little is it breaking up? Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's
Might not
cutting in and out,
be live on YouTube at
chopping up your words and stuff. So it's kind of like talking.
some time. I might have to. Or is breaking up. How about now? Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's better. I think
Okay.
maybe.
I shut down the YouTube. I shut down the YouTube live, and I figured we'd go on here, and then we can upload it afterwards.
Okay.
But so I don't know if you heard my question. Basically, I mean, you were talking the other day about what happened on Mars when the younger version of yourself, as well as the older version of yourself, ran into each other that day, and the older version of yourself defended the younger version of yourself, and you came off the elevator with Andrew Basiago when I was asking you kind of how you got there, the older version, because it seemed like you had the younger version figured out, but it seemed like you started to reach into the older version's memories, and I was going to see what you came up with and what you might have to.
Yeah. Well, all of those memories in the one head because that's how it worked. Like, but obviously the older version of me knew who the young version of me was, but the younger one didn't because the younger one had never met older me and didn't know what I would end up looking like. I look very different than I did when I was 5 or 6. But yeah, the older version of me was basically just there to protect myself and Obama, who was there too. And neither of those people, to my knowledge, had weapons and were walking about on a very hostile surface and in a hostile environment with, threatening, hungry creatures trying to feed themselves. And so, yeah, we just went up there very quickly, took care of that, got those 2 people out of there, and that was it. And from that point again, it's weird. I have difficult remembering the spaces between being in that building to getting to where we went to or from. It's almost like something is happening that something happened that prevents me from remembering. So I'm trying to break through that, whatever that is. I did some of that yesterday, and I did come to the belief that when I was at first teleported there when I was a child, that there was some sort of memory, no, some sort of like time travel actually used to get me from a facility which is actually in the area of that building in El Segundo, to the point in which that paper, that declassified remote viewing paper, was actually created, which was actually May 22nd, 1984, which I didn't realize until yesterday. I thought it was made all in the same time because I didn't remember all the specifics along that journey. So a lot more happened during that journey than I realized until just yesterday. I think that the older me, when I got off that elevator, I think there may have been immediately some kind of memory suppression technology used so that I I would have difficulty at least remembering maybe where I was going to, or it, or maybe it was an attempt to help me to try to make me forget what I had just done, but I didn't forget that because it was so recent actually that it was easy for me to not forget. And I had already started like delving into these sort of blank spots in my memory to try to figure out what was in there. And so I think I've already kind of broken that programming, you know, that sort of like hypnotic. It's a form of hypnotic programming that they use to kind of threaten you to forget. Basically, it's like they implant these kind of fear commands into your mind, or you know, it's a basically a, it's basically a form of trauma-based mind control, which I've broken out of at this point. So they can't really continue to do that moving forward. It's not going to work. But again, there's other stuff in my past that I'm having difficulty accessing. Some of it was just such a long time ago at this point for me, and it was you know a lifetime ago really. Um, I'm in my mid 40s now. I was 5 and 6 when this happened, and like any childhood memory, you have difficulty recalling it correctly the older you get anyway. So if you even recall it at all. So, um, but there is stuff that has been happening in recent history, recently in my lifetime, which I haven't forgotten about.
What's what's some of the new stuff that you've been able to bring up?
In recent history, well, I think the big one that I think is really important is, and probably most important in all of this, is the Majestic 12 MG12 experience, the the Roswell crash and the subsequent creation of the Majestic 12 organization, which has really brought, I think, probably at this point, the whole world out of the darkness of awareness about the phenomenon of extraterrestrial life and advanced technology. I, I think that's probably the most important one. I'm sure there's other stuff. I have a diary that I've been keeping, and yeah, there's that, you know, and I think playing art, yeah, like looking at it from a bigger picture perspective, I think that is ultimately the most important thing. But I think also the biggest thing that we're really going to be faced with in, I think, the near future is the reality of time travel. It's a real thing, and it's a very serious technology. It's very potentially dangerous, and if we are not careful and extremely responsible with it, there's no telling what kind of damage could be done with it. And this is, you know, I think at this point it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag about it. It's too late to bury it. There's too many people talking about it, and the reality is like we can't really hide it for much longer. We can't really, the government can't hush it up for much longer, as they've tried to do, certain elements of the government and people within the government. And we kind of have to just accept it as real, I think. And I think it will officially become recognized by the government at some point in this decade. And there'll be sort of guidelines about it, how to use it properly, how to not use it, who can use it, where you can go, what you can do. Um, I think that's going to be a really big thing in the next 10 years. And, I'm just trying to get that information out to people that, I am actually running for president of the United States in 2024. And I do plan on at least, making this stuff public knowledge, giving it an official government sanction, an official, like making a department of the military to actually kind of oversee it and make sure that nothing being done with it that's irresponsible or dangerous to the country or our friends or allies. Because it is potentially very, very dangerous. And
You were talking about that. Is there a safe way with technologies that you can think of? I'm
What's
sorry.
that?
I was saying that me and you were talking, and we don't know how other people want to deploy these technologies, but we don't necessarily think that there's a safe way to deploy them. Have you come up with a safe way to deploy some of these technologies?
Mhm. But I have plenty of ideas as to how we can do that. That we could actually make, like, you know, just a few years ago, the idea of Space Force was a ridiculous concept. But we had space technology for what 67, 80 years, right? Up to that point. The Air Force was, it was all categorized as part of the Air Force from the 1940s onward until the creation of Space Force. Um, Now I'm saying that we have that technology already. It's been around, and we can't really just pretend it doesn't exist. So the government kind of is obligated now to at least let people know by saying, here, look, we have time travel. We, we have now a time travel organization. We want to regulate the way we do things to make it more sane and less dangerous, and hopefully, make sure that the government isn't infiltrated by people who are going to use it for nefarious purposes and cause harm. That's my biggest concern is that it's used in a way that isn't harmful. Um, so that's kind of one thing I think people need to know about is that there are candidates who are actually thinking about this stuff. It's not just the typical, you know, I hate Democrats, I hate Republicans candidate. Yan, 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 yan. My dick is bigger than your dick kind of thing. It's like there's actual real stuff at stake, and we haven't been doing or addressing any of that for a long time, like at least half my life. I don't know about you, but I just think it's time that especially the government really starts to get a bit more real about this stuff and about a lot of stuff, frankly. But so that's why I'm offering to kind of do the job. I don't really want to, but I don't know anybody else more qualified at this point to kind of even understand what's going on, how this stuff works, and how it can be misused, and who, like, actually cares enough to try to make sure that it doesn't get misused. So that's why that's another one of the big reasons why I'm talking to people, because I have children, I'm hoping to have grandchildren eventually, and I don't want them to be put in a position where they're overly concerned about how advanced technology can be misused to hurt them or their families. And I think if we're not careful, I've already seen candidates. I don't want to talk about anyone in particular, but I'm aware of, you know, people who are aware of this stuff, and some of them are political candidates as well. Like, and I don't think they'd be really right for the job with that stuff in their hands, and I think they'd be really dangerous. So it's now become an issue of who can we trust to make sure that it stays working the way that is best for everybody. And I've seen some very crazy ideas when it comes to using advanced technology and how it should be used. And
Yeah.
I just think it's dangerous to to allow that, frankly. Like, I mean, can you imagine, for instance, if we were to,
And
well, just so for instance, like, can you
sorry, go ahead.
imagine if, yeah, I mean, right now, can you imagine if like right now, or even in the very near future, with the state of the world right now, that we were to just jump way ahead and put like teleportation and advanced technology all over the planet. So even if we just kept it at U.S. military bases all around the world, which there are many, you know, doesn't it seem probable that somehow some of that would fall into in the wrong hands?
I mean, I don't even know how the U.S. would use it correctly. I could
Yeah.
understand them using it for war to end up, behind enemy lines. One of our viewers, Edwin, who was asking questions the other day, he wanted to join in. I'm gonna go ahead and let him in.
Okay.
Hey, hey there, Edwin. Looks like you're getting connected right now. You might have to connect your audio and your video if you'd like. Let's see here. Can you hear us, Edwin? Well, Edwin's in the room. Oh, it looks like you got his microphone on. Edwin, are you there?
Yes, sir. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hello, Edwin.
Hey, Michael.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, I think. Just, talking to people.
Cool. I do have a quick question. Have you heard from Michael Phillips or know anything about an update with him or
Since when?
since like um anytime anytime recently? I mean, I was watching his videos last year
Mhm.
and and then I went to go rewatch some of his videos because I just like to rewatch them and just kind of pick up as much information as I possibly can. And I went to go to his channel and it was basically swiped clean. I mean, no videos. It was like he never existed.
Yeah. I have talked with him since the creation of that last video. And,
The video
yeah.
that was on Apex.
Well, there are other videos that he created that there was a bunch of live chats, which I was in, my wife was in, and he was going in depth with a lot of stuff. and he was answering a lot of questions, accepting the questions being asked. Um, I have actually talked with him since that point. I've actually met him, but I didn't. Like I had not met him up to that point. I had not met him when any of those videos were made. At least not this me. Apparently, he and I are, well, at least he has said that he and I are friends in the future. I don't know if that's going to happen yet, because it's not. I've not lived that life yet, but I have met him.
Okay.
And it was not in this time. It was involving a time travel experience, believe it or not. We were both in the year, we were both brought to meet in the year 1999, I believe it was, at a party. And there were other people there who were also time travelers. And it was
Any
just
any other people that you could mention?
that I could mention. Yeah, I can say, I suppose, that one of them was my wife, but not the wife that I have with me now. It was my wife who came back from her current future to that event. And
So she's a past wife that traveled to the future, or
no, it's my wife who is still my wife, who will still be my wife in the future.
gotcha. Just a different version, just a
It's
farther down version.
Yeah, further down the line, she traveled back to meet at the party. So it was kind of a time traveler party basically, and it kind of clued me into what people are like from the future a bit more, because we're kind of stuck in this like thing right now, but apparently in the future people are more telepathic. Like they're able to communicate without words. They can just kind of like share their thoughts and words without actually speaking or making any noise. Um, so then things like music are a lot more are appreciated a lot more, just sitting and listening to music. And that's all we did. We just sat and listened to music. We didn't actually have any like verbal communication, but we could all kind of like understand each other based on the ability to use telepathy. So
Well, me and Edwin were talking a little bit about John Teeter or John Titer, depending on how you pronounced it. And you said the year 1999. Were you guys there for any intention besides to meet each other?
I don't think so.
Well, because I've always had that idea that we were always really worried about the Y2K bug for a long time.
Yeah.
And I just pictured you at this I don't know, New Year's Eve party or something with a bunch of time travelers, and you guys are trying to solve the problem of how to stop this from happening.
No, it was nothing like that. It was just hanging out and listening to some music. And I know the album I'm listening to the album Wavelength by Van Morrison, if you know that one. It's a really great album.
What band was it?
The singer Van Morrison.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We were listening to his album Wavelength on vinyl. So it's like, it was nothing out of the ordinary. Just everybody, there were a lot of people. Like, I mean, maybe like a dozen people there at the most. But I don't know, like some of them, as I was going in, they knew who I was, but I didn't know who they were. So it was like they were kind of wondering what was so. Like one of them said to me, like, "What's so? So you're the future president, right?" I'm like, I guess. they're like, and he's like, so what's so special about you? And I don't know how to answer that question. I just like, um, I don't know. Um, but then he kind of realized something after just meeting me. So it kind of led me to the belief that there might be something a little off or different about me as an individual. Um, but I don't really know. Like, I wasn't informed of what that was or anything. But um, so I just went into it was a house. We were just listening to music. There were people there. Everybody was friendly. There were people from all over the world. Actually, there was. So I noted that there was me. There was my wife. There were people from. Uh, there was Michael Phillips, who was obviously English. You could tell from his accent on the shows. There was some girl from India. So
Did you learn anything about Michael Phillips meeting him? Can you confirm or deny any of his story, or did he tell you anything about his story?
um, well, yeah, just kind of, I could, all of the communication was done telepathically, so it was all quick. It was like quick information, as condensed information. So, but yeah, I came to the belief then that he is telling the truth, was telling the truth, and that the whole thing that he was doing was in fact truthfully attempting to alter the timeline here in this time period, this time section. And that,
And do you know what he was trying to avoid by altering the timeline? Was there
yes, I
something
do.
specific?
I do know what he was trying to avoid. He was trying to avoid World War III, basically,
Okay.
and on the timeline that he came from. And in fact, I'm also aware that something happened from another experience. That okay, all of those newspaper articles and everything that you might have seen that talk about Michael Phillips and mention me. They said that World War III started because of attacking North Korea, or because North Korea attacked Hawaii, which actually did happen, by the way. I don't know if you realize that, but they launched missiles at Hawaii. But the thing that caused the war was U.S. retaliation against North Korea. Now, that's where we changed things. Is we didn't actually retaliate against North Korea, obviously, since they're still there, uh, which prevented the war. And even though Donald Trump was reelected, clearly, he's still been basically removed from office by the military, and Biden's been installed instead to make sure that Trump, who was ultimately involved in that timeline, won't be able to do anything about
I
that.
have to interject for a second, just
Mhm.
because I'm gonna put this on YouTube. Um, you're not saying that there was any falsities in the election. You're just saying this is your opinion on what happened, right?
Why will they ban me for saying that? Or
They won't ban you as much as they might try to take this video down or try to take down what you said. I mean,
okay,
I'm taking a testimony of your experiences,
hmm,
which shouldn't have any reflection on what happened in the election.
yeah,
It shouldn't matter, but it's I feel like it's important to at least address, that way the YouTube gods don't
right.
crash down on
Well,
us.
I think yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think that so many people are good at covering up evidence about things anyway that right now we don't really have conclusive evidence either way about that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that in the future, we probably will. That's what I mean to say, I guess. I guess
Gotcha.
at this point in time, uh, there's not a general consensus either way, whether it was a legitimate election or an illegitimate election.
Well, you have your own. It sounds like you have your own private evidence, and you're waiting for more public evidence before it's addressed to the public.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really relevant to what we're talking about anyway, frankly. So I'll just, say I don't have an opinion about it.
Well, I also have I don't mean to interrupt, but I also have a kind of controversial question. I did ask uh, Jacob last night, and he kind of uh, um, basically said to kind of tread lightly with it. I do want to ask about the vaccine, and um, right. I mean, I kind of know where you stand with that, but I just want to confirm confirm that if I could. And again, like I understand if Jacob, if that's also a touchy subject that we cannot post publicly. I do understand, but I just want to kind of get Michael's opinion on that. And then I would also like to talk about Bitcoin. And
Yeah,
Michael would love to talk about Bitcoin, but before Michael says anything about the vaccine, I just want to make sure that we address publicly that we're not experts. We're just giving our opinions on things, and we both are interested in Michael's opinion on the vaccine and what he thinks of it, if he might have any future knowledge of it. Because if it's true that Michael's a time traveler and that he's had these experiences, he might have information that we don't have. But that's why we're asking his opinion. We're not saying that he's a medical expert. We're not saying that everybody should or shouldn't take the vaccine based on what Michael's saying. We're just asking Michael's opinion on it. And I just want to make that clear and lay it out as best as possible.
yeah. Well, I think in the long run, the vaccine thing will basically be kind of forgotten about. Um, my concern with that is from a legal perspective because I'm a lawyer now. I became a lawyer. So I think it's important that societies don't overstep the individual right when it comes to those things, and individual liberties are a key thing, especially in American society. And no government really has the legal right to, definitely not to force that on people, and definitely even to coerce or suggest it to people under certain international laws, which we've proven to be, there are there are legal precedents for instance, like the Nuremberg trial. Look at the Nuremberg trial. That's a huge part of what those people were. The people who were tried and executed at Nuremberg were uh, held guilty for was the fact that they used and committed involuntary medical procedures on their victims.
Yeah.
But
No, consent. I agree with you, Michael. Consent is a huge thing, and that's the same thing that I talked about in MK Ultra, and some of the unwilling participants in that. And that's why the biggest thing that I see that people question about the vaccines is, why are you seeing states trying to bribe people with a lottery or something like that in order to get them to take a vaccine, which is something that would be better for you. If it's just better for you and it's a benefit to society, why would you have to bribe people to do it?
Right. I mean, and legally, they don't have the right to do that. I hope everybody realizes that to even suggest, to coerce people, especially if you're in a position of, you're a legislator, you're a government official. You absolutely don't have the legal right to do that. And I don't know if these people are necessarily aware of that. Maybe they are, and they're just trying to get away with it. I can only speculate, but um, each individual is different. Maybe they're just trying to make money off their stock portfolio. I have no idea. Um, I do know that Pfizer stocks have gone through the roof in the last while.
That-
So another that leads me to another thing. It's like you're talking about Bitcoin. The two are related. I agree. I think they are. There are a lot of people who are trying to keep us from, and keep a lot of people, keep the world really from learning about Bitcoin. And we're stuck in this narrative now that we need to move away from, because the more we talk about it, the less we're talking about Bitcoin, and the less we're learning about something as amazing as Bitcoin, which is ultimately going to liberate financially millions and millions of people.
Yeah,
Possibly.
it's changed my life.
Yeah, same here.
Edwin, how have you been doing with Bitcoin?
Well, I basically Michael posted a video probably oh about a year ago, not quite, and said basically if you want to he's the one who got me looking at it and got me interested in it, and he basically was like, hey, if you want to better your life essentially financially, um then this is the way to go. And I I'm a young man, I'm raising a family, and um I went ahead and took his advice. And yeah, I mean, I always knew, um or I've always believed that, like, Michael's been telling the truth just off of their persona of, well, they don't really care if you believe them or not. And that alone says a lot to me. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
it matters to me that the right people get this information. And you sound like someone who's, as I put it, like rightly disposed to truth, and so that's really great. I'm glad you're getting something out of the stuff that I'm putting out, because I do want to
oh,
help those people.
oh, dude, it has helped me and my family. I mean, it's really amazing, like,
Mhm.
what it has done. And so, I mean, I have been collecting it, and I'm still collecting it right now. I mean, I try to get some every day.
Yeah, this is the perfect time for it, because as there's one person I really trust whose forecasts are accurate all the time about this stuff, and his name is Max Kaiser. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's really famous. But he's predicting that Bitcoin, despite it being in a kind of a lull right now, um, that it'll be over $200,000 by the end of this year. So it's absolutely not the time to sell or let go of it. It is absolutely the time to either buy or mine it or accumulate it or whatever, legally, morally, of course.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. I agree.
um, but yeah, I mean, without that, I don't think I'd be able to afford, frankly, to become something like president of the United States in 2024, because I don't know if you guys realize it costs $3 million to get on the ballot in every state. If you
Yeah.
compile it all together, it costs about $3 million. And
Well, and that's why other people running for candidacy didn't make
yeah,
it on the ballot. Like if you look at people like Andrew Basiago, he didn't have the money to put forward to become on the ballot in most places, and so
yeah,
all the votes that he actually got had to be write-in ballots. They weren't anything but that, and so you have to have a lot of money to be able to run for the presidency. It's not like they told you when you were younger, anybody can be president. Yeah, anybody can be president, but you have to have the money to do it. It's not it's not just anybody can do it.
yeah. But if if that happens, I'll be doing it because of Bitcoin. Period. Nothing else. Because I mean, I've started businesses in my lifetime, and I have like a. I guess if you want to look at it in the non-Bitcoin world, I have a high net worth, but that doesn't really mean anything anymore because banks still don't want to talk to people just because they have high net worths or whatever. They don't want to loan you money for a business. They don't want to do anything. They just, at this point, they're so far gone that they just will steal your business idea, give it to their buddy, and let their buddy take take credit for it and get all the money for it so that they can keep making money off their buddy. I mean, they're not everything that you see with these billionaires like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and everybody else, none of them are really what they say they are. They're just actors, a lot of the time. Um, they got their ideas from somewhere else, and they're just the face on the product. It's not like a lot of these guys actually came up with anything ever. Period. They just know the bankers, and that's how it works. You could be the most innovative, intelligent person in the entire world, and you could be financially in a hole or poor because of these people, and that's how it is. And that's absolutely why Bitcoin is going to help, because it's enabling people who are just interested in getting the truth out to people so that people can be at least aware of what's really going on around them, to not have to worry about compromising that for the sake of a dollar, which is what happens to a lot of people as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I do end up in the White House, I want to do something like what El Salvador has done, which is amazing. They've made Bitcoin into an official currency of their country, and it's actually mandatory now that if you do business in El Salvador, you have a certain amount of time to adopt that standard. So imagine if the United States did that. I think it would be pretty amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I can't picture the U.S. not riding their currency until it's driven into the ground.
Well, yeah,
I
but the thing about the dollar, it's not even our money anymore. It belongs to a cartel of foreign special interest groups and Americans like myself. And I am an American, I'm like an actual
let me ask you, Michael. What do you think is in Fort Knox? I know we don't have the backing system anymore with our money, but what do you think is in Fort Knox? I believe that we're protecting other people's money. I don't
yeah.
believe it's our money.
Well, I'm pretty sure that if you're talking about gold,
Yeah, we're talking about the only question is whose gold it is, and the biggest public question is why our own government can't expedite or evaluate what's going on with the actual system.
Yeah. Well, the United States, our gold, it's not even in the United States anymore. It was moved out of the country for security reasons. Because when you think about it, there's so many corrupt people with political aspirations in the political world that would like a piece of that gold for themselves. And they would get into office just so they could get at the gold. You know what I mean? So it's been taken completely out of the United States. Our gold is not even in America anymore. So, and that's how little some people can be trusted.
Hey, you guys, just a heads up. I have my son, he's a 10-month-old, and my wife's off grocery shopping, so if he starts fussing, I'm gonna have to go. I apologize.
Oh yeah, not a problem. I totally understand.
We're good. He seems like he's okay right now, but he's I can tell he's on the verge. He's probably getting hungry because I am too. So,
I get it.
and
Yeah.
also too, I need to set up my my mining rigs because we're doing. I had I have to for electricity purposes because they are charging us from 2 to 7. They're charging us actually double of what they usually charge us, and I can't afford to run the AC that's required to keep everything cool and all the electricity. So I have to shut everything down at 2 and then fire everything back up at 7. And yeah, so I'm in the process of doing that while listening to you guys, and then my kids fussing. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up of what's going on. So, and I didn't want to just rudely just leave the meeting because this is very important to me.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. Is there any other questions you wanted to get in before you might have to take off?
Um,
Any questions about Bitcoin that might help you in the future?
no, I mean honestly, if you don't own any, you should, and you should try to get as much as you can.
I'm not gonna lie, Michael's been trying to talk me into it, and I have the nervousness of stocks because that's how I kind of think of cryptocurrency. And I'm looking at things like Dogecoin and all the other things that are happening right now, and wondering what the best option is for sure.
The best option is Bitcoin, and it's
Bitcoin.
it's nothing like stocks. I've lost a lot of money in the stock market, so I do. Um, I've also made a lot of money in the stock market too, but I've Bitcoin is a lot safer than what people think it is.
It's way
Well, let
safer.
me ask you. Let me ask you a personal question, Edwin. Do you work another job besides mining Bitcoin or managing your Bitcoin accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. I did. I actually worked at McDonald's, and I was being treated very poorly. And we were living paycheck to paycheck. And I listened to, I was watching Michael Phillips, and that's honestly how I got turned on to Mr. Macintosh. And then yeah, I mean the rest has been history. And now we don't have to worry about, we don't live paycheck to paycheck, and we are doing quite well financially. And
That's
this,
awesome.
yeah, no, I really appreciate, like this is awesome being able to talk to you. And um just it's this is crazy. You're like a celebrity to me.
I'm just a guy
Well,
like everybody else, you know. Don't feel nervous. I mean, I'm
I
looking
mean,
forward to meeting you, frankly.
Michael, if
You're
you're
a
going to be
hero to me for
if
for
you're going to be president, we got to definitely think you about celebrity status. I mean, I got to put you up there a little bit.
yeah. I'm just a
Oh,
guy like everybody else, you know. I've cleaned toilets for a living, so it's like
but you're
I don't.
hey man, no, but like you're still, dude, no, like
mm,
it's this is crazy. Like, and yeah, I agree with Jacob. You definitely, I understand, like you're totally normal, and that's why I've had such a connection with you. Um, but never in my life did I ever get to like think that I would be able to talk to you live in person. Like this is some crazy, like, because I do believe in time travel. And
mm,
I definitely, I definitely think like this is all, there's definitely something to it, because I've been into conspiracy theories before, and sometimes when you go down the rabbit hole, it's like, okay, guys, like, well, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. I can't quite say that I've never ran into that with listening to you or Michael Phillips or anything that you guys have ever said. It's always came across 100% truthful. And I mean, and I'm not just saying that, like that I really do mean that.
cool. Yeah, and it blew my mind when I heard of Michael Phillips as well online because I had already planned on running for president, and then he came, like his video came out, and it was like Michael Macintosh is president in 2024. And I'm like, what? Wait, but what the? And, it was like really strange because I had already decided that I was going to do that no matter how impossible it seemed. I mean, it really, I never thought I would be able to do that. Um, it's kind of ridiculous if you understand me as an individual. It's like I'm not, you know, I don't really think of myself in that kind of job, um, because I mean I come from like a very sort of punk rock approach to life, and looking at the political element as of late, most of my life really, I kind of look at it as like something to abhor. And the idea of actually going into it and like changing it in some way to make it actually work instead of just railing against it seemed really kind of impossible.
I yeah, and in my opinion, that's why you're perfect. That's why you're perfect for the job.
Yeah. I hope I can, if that does happen, I can do something good with it. I don't want to do the usual business as usual nonsense. I want to actually do something and do some things that will help ordinary people such as us. I mean, we're just regular people, and we've all got difficulties that have come about because of the way the political system has been, especially since the Bush administration. Let's be honest, we've had two of the worst presidents that America's ever had in the last 20 years. And they were both two-term presidents. Um,
Yeah.
so we're still just, Trump was starting to correct that. And it, it's going to take more than 4 years. It's going to take more than 8 years. It's going to take a while. But I think with someone young like myself, I'm still in my 40s. I can do a lot more work in less time than older people can. So I think there may be something really good to come out of it if I do end up in that position. Like I don't see why we can't get rid of like homelessness, for instance, or um, mental illness. Like we used to have mental health care when I was a little kid. Like if you had a mental problem, you could go somewhere and get free help.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not like that now. They're ready to shove drugs down your throat and send you on
oh,
your way.
oh, I know. And like that's just gone so wrong. And it was Nancy Reagan that started that when I was barely a teenager. Um, so it's like we need to get away from that approach completely and get back to just like helping people fix themselves so they can be mentally well, so they can take care of their families, so they can get off the streets and stuff. We have so many people that are homeless on drugs and they're not improving. They're getting sicker and their situation is getting worse. And it's been the totally wrong approach. Um, I think we can end that, completely end it. All it takes is a few tweaks of the legal system and a few procedural changes. If only that were to happen in 4 years, that would be a lot more than has happened in the Bush administration, and happened during the Obama administration, and happened in the Trump administration, frankly.
Yeah,
I don't,
it
yeah,
just seems like no one's willing to help anybody anymore.
yeah. Well, you need people who actually care in Washington, who are writing the paperwork that makes this stuff happen. And I still care. I'm, I, I care enough. Like I have children. I would like to have grandchildren.
Yeah, me too.
And, I care enough because a lot of my family don't live in the United States anymore because uh, they see a lot of these things and they don't want to live in the United States anymore because of this stuff. And so I see also how our foreign policy kind of
Hello?
can hurt other countries, and I'd like to do something about that as well. Like we need to create better partnerships with other countries. I
Absolutely.
can definitely help with that too, I think, because I do care enough and I do understand quite a bit about it. There's,
I do have one question now. Going back to, I know this is a little all over the
Well,
place. So
is
bear.
there anything else?
What was that? I'm sorry, Jacob.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, Edwin.
Um, I know this is a little all over the place. So do you, in your opinion, do you think the vaccine is safe to get?
uh, I I'm not probably not allowed to say that for YouTube reasons, but let's just say that I haven't gotten it and I never will, and nor will my wife, nor will our children. And if anybody tries to force that stuff on me, they better be prepared to overdose on lead. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that pretty much clears it up.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't mess
So
with tech. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to ask you, Michael, how do you feel about or what are your thoughts on parallel timelines? Do you think it's possible that Michael Phillips could be seeing an alternate timeline close to your own that could be a little off? Or do you think it's possible that there's only, one existence that we're going to live through and he's already lived through it and may have, more information about the future? Or do you think that there's alternative paths that could be taken at this point?
Thought a lot about that, and I've had some experiences that lead me to come to some conclusions. But I mean, the truth about Michael Phillips is that he isn't technically even born yet. He was or will be born in the 2040s. So in our timeline, he's not even born yet, according to us. But he has been in our time section, obviously. So it's
With that being said, is it possible that you'll never run into him
never again.
if events are changed?
It's hard to know. I do think that maybe certain events are fixed and can't actually be changed. They're like fixed in time. Like for instance, if you were to say go back in time and prevent Abraham Lincoln from getting elected, if you're a Confederate sympathizer or whatever, you might not be able to make that happen. Conversely,
so you believe that you can't change past events, but future events might be up for subject?
I think it depends on no, I think they're all basically the same. I think it depends on the relevance of that incident to the overall picture in human history. Like for instance, if you wanted to kill Adolf Hitler, you wouldn't be able to do it. But if you wanted to, say, show up at Jake's door in 2021 and knock on it to make him walk to the door, you might be able to do that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to happen right now. I just said that, but if there are any time travelers?
Yeah, no, you've made it very clear. You made it very clear at the beginning that you're trying to recall these memories as best as possible, and you're still working at it. So I don't want anybody to take it like this is the absolute truth. But I do want people to know that this is your best understanding of your own truth, and you're doing your best to assemble it.
Yeah. Again, you're right. That's just what I believe about it. Whether or not it's true is, I'm just making an intelligent um, assessment of the subject. Basically, it's not like I'm being dogmatic about it or anything. But yeah, I do think that it might be difficult, if not impossible, to change certain things about major historic events. And if you're part of one of those for whatever reason, what you're doing or what you've done or what you're about to do, I don't think that can really be altered either. It's just, it's like moving, I don't know, moving a river, like redirecting a river, like it's really hard to do that, if not impossible sometimes, because it's just so powerful. Like imagine trying to steer the Mississippi River in another direction. I don't know.
Would not
I
be.
don't think you could do that personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
Someone's at
hard.
your door. But by
Oh
the
yeah,
way,
I know.
someone at your door. I didn't do that. I swear.
Someone go to Jake's store. Okay, now there's someone at Jake's store. I see what you did there, Michael. Foreshadowing, but if that doesn't prove it, I don't know what does.
There was literally someone at your door there. I could see them. It came
Yeah,
slightly
no,
taller.
that was my girlfriend peeking in to see what we were, if I was still doing a podcast.
You better find out if she's a time traveler, just shadowing you.
Oh gosh.
I haven't met her yet, but maybe I will in the future. You see what I'm saying? Maybe she'll watch
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Now I feel like you met her in the past and you knew she was coming to my door before she did.
All things are possible when it comes to this stuff. That's all I can say.
Well, is there anything else that you want to touch on? Because if not, maybe we can wrap this up. I want to try to get it posted to YouTube. Zoom's being a little goofy with me lately, so I'm not sure if we're gonna get our video clips or if we're just gonna get a black screen or what we're gonna get.
Well, I just wanted to say to Edwin, he was talking about me as some sort of celebrity, and a hero or something. I don't know. I think I don't know if he used that word, but regardless.
I should have though.
I hope you didn't, but to me, you are a hero because you're taking the brave move by switching over to that system, and you obviously got possess the wisdom to understand that it is a better system and it's going to benefit you, and you're doing the right thing, I think. And you and other people who are doing the same thing, you guys are my heroes, so I'm glad to meet you. And
Hey, I appreciate it. And honestly, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything that I've done. And the thing I like about the mining community, it's like everybody is here to help everybody get ahead. And that is not how it traditionally has been for me financially. And it's been a complete 180. And yeah, that I can't say enough that it's been life-changing in the best way possible. And Jake, don't be scared, man. Start buying Bitcoin or mining Bitcoin and start looking into it, man.
Yeah.
I'll take your guys' advice and I'll look into it a little bit more. Do you guys have any opinion on any of the other coins, or is it just Bitcoin all the way?
Well, I know for a fact that people who created those coins are basically just using them to sell to other people, and they themselves are buying Bitcoin. with the profits that they
Yeah.
obtain from those coins. So I think knowing that kind of leads you to the conclusion that it's best just to cut out the middleman and um, go straight to the real deal.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
And all of those other coins are centralized, which means that they're ultimately controlled by one or a group of individuals. They can keep printing and making as many of them as they want to. Whereas with Bitcoin, there's only so many will ever be made. It's decentralized, meaning it's not controlled by anybody or any group of individuals. Um, it belongs to everybody, and they can't touch it. Nobody can touch it,
Yeah.
and they're never going to print anymore. So it's just going to keep going up in value. You're going to be shocked one day when you wake up and it's going to be $1 million for a Bitcoin in probably a few years,
Yeah.
just a few short years. Yep.
Is it more of a financial benefit for multiple people to own Bitcoin, or is it more financially beneficial for one person to corner the market? Like, so if one person who had, a ridiculous amount of money bought up all the Bitcoin, would Bitcoin be as valuable as it is, or would it be more valuable for it to be spread over a larger community with people owning fractions of it?
It doesn't really matter, I don't think. If you like the alias that the creators of Bitcoin use, it's probably not a real person. I don't know for a fact because nobody knows who they actually are, or he or she actually was. It's just not known. Satoshi Nakamoto has like 1 million Bitcoin, and there's only 21 million ever going to come into existence. If a small group of people bought all of those, it would still make the price be the same, basically. It wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So does it have so then if that's the case, would it have a cap for how high it can reach?
Yeah. That's 21 million coins.
So what do you think the cap profit is? Because you would almost assume if it was split between multiple people and industries, it would have a higher cap than it would if one individual owned it or one company owned it.
Well, see, here's the thing with Bitcoin. It's like people approach it from the perspective of measuring it with dollars. But the truth about Bitcoin is that uh, you measure dollars with it at this point in reality. But people still think that the dollar is the defining standard of how we value money. But it's just not anymore. I know that's horrible to say because it's the American dollar, but it's like um, it it just doesn't have the same value as Bitcoin. The standard of value that we judge the dollar by doesn't apply to Bitcoin. So it's hard to describe, but it's sort of like hmm, I'm trying to figure out a way that I can explain
I
that.
mean, I would explain the dollar, the U.S. dollar, as simple as it's a measurement. It's a form of a measurement that changes constantly
Yeah.
because the value doesn't stay the same.
Mm-hmm. The thing about Bitcoin is it's eating up all of the money supply from all over the entire world, not just the dollar. So it's basically like a Bitcoin versus the entire global financial system. It's not just the dollar. It's so if you look at it that way, Bitcoin is basically unstoppable. Um, you're going to see, I think you're already seeing like billions of euros pouring into it. The Russians are, as far as I know, they're not even using the dollar anymore. They're probably using Bitcoin and just not telling anybody. If not, they're very close to it. So they're pouring all of their money into Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin as a like a treasury reserve asset in in their country, right? Um, El Salvador is just a sort of thing. It's the way they're doing it is what we can look at and go, oh look, it's actually working for them.
Yeah,
People in El Salvador are becoming richer.
yeah,
It's difficult to explain the whole thing in just like one conversation, but it's worth sort of educating yourself more about it first, really, than sort of taking anybody's word for it, really. Um,
Yeah,
I would never personally pressure anybody to make a decision to do anything like that because it is you know a personal decision, really. But it can't hurt you, you know. There's no way it could hurt you, and the only result that can come of it is that it probably will benefit you. That's all I'm trying to say.
gotcha.
absolutely. It's made my life way better, dude. Way better.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say congratulations, Edwin. Like I always like to hear that people are thriving. The last thing I want to hear is people are suffering for, you know, no reason. I like to hear that you were able to get out of the minimum wage job or whatever and get a little more free time for yourself and your family. That's good.
That's all I really wanted, man, was I just wanted to be able to raise my kids and not and be able to take care of everybody uh and not have to work my hands to the bone.
Insane. You know, I worked hard in my life. I started off working when I was like 12 years old. I washed dishes, you know, in my uncle's restaurant. I helped deliver newspapers. I worked in a comic book store. I worked in a drugstore. I started a band when I was still in high school. Um, I became a union carpenter. I worked all over Boston on the construction stuff there. Um, Started a company, moved to the New York area, kept working. And then after a point, it's just like, why are we doing this? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
we're just getting by and we're working our butts off to pay this, that, and the other. And other people are getting wealthy off of us, off of our labor.
yeah.
And
I was making somebody else a whole bunch of money. And the biggest thing for me is I never I never was able to see my kids. I never I
then,
and that sucked.
yeah, yeah, that's no fun.
And that's how the
I
work
haven't,
system set up. They want you away from your family. They want you spending this many hours at work a day. I mean, that's how our system's set up to make it so you have enough to get by, but not enough where you could ever have that financial freedom.
yeah, but Bitcoin solves that. I mean, let me just break it down with math for you. Um, One person I know put like they had something like $15,000 and they put it all into Bitcoin about 4 or 5 years ago. And now they have in as far as the value of the Bitcoin that they have, it's worth over $100,000. Now, if they had just kept that money in dollars in the bank, it would be actually less by now than it was back when they spent it on Bitcoin, right? But
Yeah,
now they have Bitcoin and they can take some of it and use it as currency. They can sell it, they can trade, and they can do whatever with it. And they have the equivalent of $100,000 worth of value saved away, which now when they if they keep it in Bitcoin, it'll grow even more. They'll be a millionaire before long, you know. And all they had to do was just put it in the right place, and that's it. And I'm sure Edwin knows what I'm talking about.
I do. If you just to if you would have bought Bitcoin anytime within the last 5 or 10 years, you would have made money. Period.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when it was 65,000 a few weeks or months ago, that was the highest it had ever been. So buying it at that rate, maybe not yet, but you will if you hold that by the end of this year, if you bought it then.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yep. And that's where it's going. It's just everything's becoming more and more digital, and there's nothing we can do to stop it when it comes to that, I don't think, unless we, get really crazy and just start destroying everything digital, which some people have advocated for that. I don't think that's going to be possible, frankly. I think it's better that we maybe try to use it to benefit us rather than rail against it. But
You don't think we could see a point where we have some form of government trying to blast a nuke above the Earth's surface and get an EMP,
I hope,
electromagnetic pulse, to stop most of our electronics
yeah,
and
well,
making electronic currency kind of obsolete for a period of time? Or do you
yeah,
think these financial companies that are doing it electrically are backing you?
what do you mean about the last part?
Like if I have money in a bank, it's backed if that bank is to go down to a certain amount.
Yeah.
So my question is, does Bitcoin offer that same type of security?
Yeah. Bitcoin is the most secure thing there is. It's absolutely far more secure than a bank. It doesn't even compare. It's like it's here's the bank, and here's as far as security level, here's Bitcoin. It's way
And
better.
yeah, it is, and I know it's hard to see that right now. Like if you're not into it, like me, I mine it, and I'm part of a huge mining community, and we all help each other out, and I have been for the last, we're basically ever since Michael came out with that video. I think it was like August or September in 2020, and um, ever since then, it's it's been good. A lot. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm watching my kids are getting into things. Hold
I'm
on.
really glad that helps somebody at least. Even if you're the only person that video helped, to me it was worth it.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
it helped me. It helped my family. It's helped my mother. It's helped my brother. I mean, it's helped a lot of people.
That's great.
that's what I was saying. Just helping Edwin directly, you at least had to help his whole family.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing this stuff because I want to help people. I'm tired of a lot of this, the way things have been done for far too long, and I think it's important that we not be so dogmatic about how we do things. That there are solutions to things that we could be adopting if we just, you know, not be so rigid about everything all the time. I mean, I'm not talking like extremes of anything. I'm just talking about progress and adaptation. And I don't want to be personally riding a horse when I can ride in the fastest car in the world.
Yeah.
I
And
like
that's
horses. I have horses, but I don't want to drive them from California to New York. You know what I mean? Ride them from
yeah,
California.
I feel like that's part of how, or that's part of why it pretty much can't be stopped, because it's kind of like it's such a better way of a better use of money, that
Mhm.
why would anybody do anything different, or why would you go back to the old way? It's kind of like the same thing. Like, why would you take a horse to California from New York when you can fly?
Yeah. If you want to take a fast car, that's nice to look at. But
Yeah.
it's real nice to look at. Route 80 all the way. It's beautiful.
Well, let's end it on that good note, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to try to get it posted to YouTube. I want to thank you, Edwin, for listening. Glad you got a chance to call in and talk to Michael.
Yeah, man, you guys, this has meant a lot, and this is like this is so surreal, really. I mean, I never thought if you would have told me like, yeah, last year, yeah, you're gonna be able to personally talk to this guy, I would have been like, no way.
I'm here, feel free to talk to me on social media or send me an email or whatever. I'm on I hate to promote them, but I'm already doing it. I'm on Facebook. um, we can chat there if you like. And I have websites and stuff. You can send me an email.
Yeah, I'll stop the recording and we can share each other's emails. That way I can get you two connected.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks again, Michael, and we'll do another one again here soon.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.